Our story begins with Barry, a tourist with a heart full of adventure and a head full of travel brochures. He eagerly approached the jungle tour desk, visions of exotic birds and gentle waterfalls dancing in his head. "One nature walk, please. Extra sunscreen." He beamed, ready to commune with nature's splendors. Barry received his ticket with a distracted "enjoy" from the overworked clerk. He strolled towards the meeting point, oblivious to the reality that awaited him. Instead of a group of fellow birdwatchers, he found a ragtag bunch clad in camouflage, faces smeared with mud. One particularly burly fellow was sharpening a machete. This nature walk's got some serious commitment, Barry chuckled nervously, as the burly guide, whose name ironically was Chip, barked orders. A horrifying realization dawned on Barry. He'd signed up for the jungle survival experience, not the scenic stroll through paradise. His sunscreen, he realized with a sinking feeling, was woefully inadequate. Chip, a man who believed nature was best experienced with a healthy dose of fear, launched into a demonstration of essential survival skills. First, he boomed, "We learn to make fire." Barry, who considered boiling water a culinary adventure, watched in dismay as Chip rubbed two sticks together with ferocious intensity. Next came the edible insects. Chip enthusiastically described the protein content of a particularly plump grub. Barry, face rapidly paling, mumbled something about a sensitive stomach. He discreetly deposited the snack into his pocket when Chip's back was turned. The jungle trek began, and Barry struggled to keep up. Vines seemed to reach out and trip him, and every rustle of leaves sounded like a lurking jaguar. He longed for the air-conditioned comfort of his hotel room, where the only wildlife he'd encounter was the occasional gecko on the wall. Barry's attempts at jungle survival were, to put it mildly, disastrous. His fire-starting efforts resulted in nothing more than blistered palms and a cloud of smoke. His attempts to build a shelter resembled a child's fort, constructed primarily of twigs and wishful thinking. Chip, initially frustrated by Barry's utter lack of survival instincts, began to find the whole thing hilarious. Here was a man so hopelessly out of his element that he couldn't differentiate a poisonous berry from a blueberry. Barry's misfortunes became a source of endless amusement for the rest of the group. Despite the mishaps and near-death experiences, at least in Barry's mind, a strange camaraderie developed between the terrified tourist and the hardened survivalists. They might laugh at his clumsiness, but they also helped him over treacherous terrain and shared their meager rations. When Barry finally emerged from the jungle, sunburned, mosquito-bitten and utterly exhausted, he had never been so happy to see a taxi in his life. He bid farewell to his fellow adventurers, promising to send them the hilarious video diary he'd been too terrified to actually film. Back in his hotel room, Barry reflected on his unintentional jungle adventure. It hadn't been the relaxing nature walk he'd envisioned, but it certainly provided some memorable and embarrassing stories. He imagined the YouTube views his misadventures would garner, lost in the jungle with only a spork and a selfie stick. "Click here to see how I survived," Barry chuckled, already drafting the clickbait title for his imaginary video. The jungle might not have been ready for Barry, but the internet was in for a treat. Like and subscribe and comment with your own unplanned adventures.